we thought it was important to come down and testify in the Natural Resources Committee on Senator Hughes' LB 802 bill that is holding the hearing today in the committee, to be sure we try and get it passed through the legislature so the groundwater below the overlying ground gets put in statute and is lawfully on the books in the state of Nebraska. So the groundwater and the overlying ground cannot be used or sold off separately for other uses.
Well, the bill came to me from the cattlemen and the Farm Bureau. They passed resolutions in their annual conventions in December, wanting to try to make sure or reaffirm that in order to pump groundwater, you have to own the land above it.
Well, I think as the population, not only in Nebraska, but the surrounding states and larger cities such as Denver west of us and Kansas City east of us, as their population continues to grow, in the future they're going to continue to need more sources of water for their cities, and I would hate to see Nebraska's groundwater pumped across the state lines to the benefit of any large cities when we need to keep that groundwater as well as our surface water in Nebraska to be used for our own agriculture production.
Yes, it is codifying in law what the Supreme Court has already ruled. There have been a couple of cases basically dealing with the augmentation projects that are in southwest Nebraska, and the ruling has been that you do have to own surface in order to have access to the groundwater. So this is just going to be putting it in statute in Nebraska law that is reaffirming what the Supreme Court has already ruled. Well, in the state of Nebraska, like I don't know if there are other states treat the water this way, but in the state of Nebraska, the state does own the water. So it is not considered a mineral right. We do have mineral rights in Nebraska that if you own the surface, you have access, you own the minerals underground. In Nebraska, you do not own the water. The state owns the water. They give you a permit in order to use it. And there are some people who are trying to separate the ability to use water from the ownership of the land. And that's kind of what we're trying to prevent. We don't think that's a direction we want to head, especially those of us in agriculture.
Well, it is hard for us producers that live a considerable distance away from Lincoln and the Capitol, but I think the senators that are sitting on each individual committee would rather have individual producers that are involved in working in agriculture every day come down and be a part of the process and testify on various bills that we have vested interest in.